Hello, hello. Hopefully you guys can see me and everybody's here. I see a lot of friends down in the comments. Um, let's go ahead and let's get started. All right. We have got a brand new session ready for you today. This is the second session of the Power Up Your Pedagogy PD Challenge. We are super excited to be here with you and for you to be here with us today. And as you're coming in, we would love for you guys to go ahead and drop your name. Well, your name's there, your grade level, and obviously where when you're heading back to school. When are you guys heading back to school? So as you're coming in, drop your name, your grade level, and when you are going back into the classroom. Some of you may already be back in the classroom. I'd love to hear that too. Brittany says, hello from Southern Maryland. Awesome. Hi, Brittany. Hey, Ken. Tanya says, I am in St. Louis and teach 9 to 12 history. And meetings start in a week and a half. Oh my goodness. Let's see. Denise said, is your video supposed to be black? We can't see you. Hopefully you guys can see me. We've got Jenny Camacho going back on the 12th. Never closes for Ken. August 19th. Students start after Labor Day. Lucky ducks. Lucky ducks. Yay. Okay. And then we've got Cooper. So yes. Love to see all the people who are here with us today. First and foremost, let's go ahead and this second session is all about how we can utilize Class Companion during the formative assessment stage so that we can be more efficient in the classroom, giving students exactly what they need and supporting them in that most critical phase of their learning journey, okay? Where that timely feedback, where that targeted instruction can really make the most impact. Most of us can see Class Companion and think, wow, like help grading essays, help grading tests. Yes, while we can use Class Companion for those more summative things, giving students that feedback during the learning process impacts them in that moment. And this immediate feedback is not just for them, but it's for us as well, where we get that feedback on student learning quicker so we can adjust our instructional groupings. We can reteach those specific skills. And I'm getting a little ahead of myself, but let's jump into meeting today's team. All right. Today's team. We've got, having a little bit of a lag here today, little issues popping up. Hopefully you guys are able to see my screen. Yes, 8:27 school begins. So our team today, for those of you who weren't here on Tuesday, my name is Brittany Blackwell. I've been an educator for the past 14 years. I started teaching kindergarten, and then I moved into special education, and I've taught K through 12. But middle school has a special place in my heart. So if you're a middle school teacher, you're my kind of people. I am also the marketing and community lead here at Class Companion. And today we have another member of our team in the chat, Mr. Cooper Dawson, who is our design lead. So he's the guy who makes the website super user-friendly. So give him a shout out real quick. He'll be helping me moderate in the chat, answering questions as he can. So please make sure you all say, hey, Cooper, in the chat, okay? Say, hey, Cooper. Awesome. Okay. Most importantly, while we are in session 2 right now, you can't see me. Guys, let me know in the chat. Can you guys see me? Hopefully you guys can see me. Can you guys see me? I can see you. Cool. Awesome. Just making sure. I saw some people say they couldn't see me. Just want to make sure. While we're in session 2 of this PD series, you can still catch the first session. It's on demand. And this full series encompasses 4 separate sessions, all on different topics. And they were really designed to get you ready for the new school year with your new AI Sidekick. So each of these sessions is created and designed to be a standalone experience, except maybe the first one. So if you are not familiar with our platform, it is super helpful to dive in a little bit deeper into session 1 for sure. Today, we're going to be talking about formative assessment. Next Tuesday, we're going to be talking about meeting all of the needs of the learners in your classroom, including special education students, multi-language learners, utilizing insights to really differentiate. And then finally, we're going to be supercharging your back to school prep, where we're going to be giving you step-by-step guides to incorporating Class Companion into your teaching workflow. Just introducing your students to it, the effective routines that set you up for success. So we have some really awesome stuff planned for you guys, and you're not going to want to miss out. So make sure that you put your sessions on your calendar. You can do that through your dashboard. So today, I've got a little bit of a snafu here. Today's session, what we really want to do is we want to learn how Class Companion can not only grade effectively for those summative assessments, but also how we can utilize this in the formative stages of learning and development. Our goal today is to develop insight into student progress using formative assessment strategies. We're also going to talk about implementing different strategies, learning how to create them, use them effectively inside of Class Companion, and then discover how to use this feedback and data to then inform and adjust our instruction in the classroom. Just a quick little reminder, in order for you to receive your PD certificate, you will need to attend this session and participate. I need to see your faces, well, not your faces, but your words in the chat. And you're also responsible for completing the session 2 action steps and assignment via a Google Doc and submit that into the PD certificate form as well. You're going to receive that doc and that form soon, so no worries, but you can also find this in your Power Up dashboard after this session as well. So no worries there, but those are the requirements for the PD certificate. And clearly, I love a good I do, we do, you do method. So we're going to do that again today. So first, I'll talk a little bit about how Class Companion is typically used, how teachers can leverage that formative assessment strategy. And then together, we are going to take a look inside of the platform, inside the demo account, and then also our content library. And then I'll hand it over to you for you to create your own formative assessments. We're going to do that a couple of times in this session, and then we'll keep it open for questions. So who is ready? I'm super excited to be here and doing this with you guys today. So let's do a waterfall. Okay, we did a waterfall method in session 1, but let me explain this again for those of you who have never heard of this or you didn't join us, okay? We want you to be active in here, in the chat. So make sure you're asking questions, you're, giving comments in the chat as you're going along. This waterfall method, though, is a way for us to gather everybody's input simultaneously instead of seeing each response come in one at a time. So we're going to wait until everybody's ready, and then we're going to share all at once. This way we get an instant snapshot of everybody's thoughts without really being influenced by other people's responses. So I'm going to put the question here on the screen. I want you to think about your answer. I want you to type it into the chat, but don't hit send yet, okay? I'm going to give you guys time to think, and then on the count of 3, everyone will hit send at the same time. This way we can see everybody's responses cascade like a waterfall, okay? So real quick, I'm going to put the prompt here on the screen for you guys. Waterfall question. Ready? All right. Share one successful assessment strategy that you've used, but don't hit send yet, okay? Don't hit send. Think about it. One effective assessment strategy that you've used. Do not hit send. I'm going to give you a couple minutes just to gather that really quickly. An effective, formative assessment strategy that you've used. Ready? 3, 2, 1. Drop it in the chat. Google Forms, process reflection journals. Love that, Shannon. Yes. Words their way spelling inventory. Eric says, I've used short answer questions that analyze the 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendment for short answers. Mystery pixel art. I love those. Those are so much fun. Retakes on tests, group tests, peer assessment, retakes, lab practicals. I used to think, but now I think, Michael Polinsky. I love that one. That was one of my favorites. Sticky note. Yeah, sticky note's a great one. Self-assessments. I love all of these amazing assessments that work, and they do. They work. We have to find the things that work for us, right? But most importantly, and this is kind of going to be a review for some of you guys, but we need to know what it is we need from our assessments so we can build a system of assessment that typically comprises of 3 different educational assessment types, right? We have 3 different ones that usually come up for us. And those serve different purposes depending on when they're administered. Diagnostic, we got formative, and we've got summative. So there are other labels for these assessments. We've got pre-test, we got post-test, we've got progress monitoring, benchmark, but they all fall into one or more of those 3 broad categories. So when we think about educational measurements, each assessment is designed for a specific time, a specific purpose. When an assessment happens before the learning, these are usually called diagnostic because the results can then be used to diagnose a problem. Gives us areas to focus on during the teaching to come. But when the assessment happens during the learning process, these are called formative. This is what we're going to be talking about today because these results can be used to inform what to do next for individuals, for groups of students, maybe while that learning is occurring. Both diagnostic and formative are types of assessment for learning, meaning you're assessing to support decisions made before or during learning, whereas the assessments that happen after the learning activity, those are your summative. That's the summation of the learning that's occurred. And while Class Companion can absolutely be used in each of these types, in this session, what my goal is to drive home that immediate feedback is so powerful. And there are tons of ways to conduct these formative assessments that allow you to track your student progress over time. Let me check the comments real quick. Oh, I love a good exit ticket too. Exit tickets are my thing. Now, according to Fisher and Fry, teachers should check for understanding every 5 to 10 minutes to ensure rigorous supported instruction. 5 to 10 minutes. I wanted to make sure that I put this in here because that does not mean that we are pausing and we're going to Class Companion every 5 to 10 minutes. But what Class Companion does is it offers us the opportunity to do this more consistently and to have a record of that without, say, for a sticky note, without jotting it down on a sticky note, and then we've lost it, right? The point is that checking for understanding is a huge part of our quality instruction. And so we want to make it easier. All right, here are some common problems that we have in our classrooms right now. Which of these is something that you have struggled with when it comes to formative assessment with your students? Okay, we're going to do a waterfall again. All right, we're going to do a waterfall again, but wait just a minute. Okay, student problems. They don't know where to start. They're afraid of failing. They're self-conscious in front of their peers. They don't know what the teacher is looking for when they grade, or they're only focused on the number grade. Or maybe it's something else. You can completely put that in the chat, but I'm going to give you a couple minutes to think about that. Couple minutes, and then we'll do a waterfall. Which of these problems do you struggle with when it comes to formative assessment with your students? Is it 1? Is it 2? Is it 3? Is it 4? Is it 5? Think about it. All right. Got it? Let's count down. 3, 2, 1. Hit enter. Which are these? Ooh, Ken said all of the above. Yep. 1, 2, and 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5, 3, 2, 6, all of the above. Yeah, 1 or 5. Yeah. Self-conscious in front of peers and love private feedback. Yes. They want step-by-step in the moment directions. Right. Yes. All of you, like these, this is where this comes in handy, right? We're going to have some of these problems. And, you know, we've had tons of these. There's a problem with our current method. Students can be afraid to ask questions in the classroom. They often forget what those questions are, even when they have the time or the privacy to be able to. And since the pandemic, I would love to know how many of you guys have unmotivated or disengaged students. Because I know that in the classroom, I struggled with that in middle school. And I know that it was happening with a lot of my other friends as well. We could say all of the reasons that these problems occur. But the truth is, these students could be unmotivated because they've habitually received low grades and not clear feedback. And so traditional homework or end of the class exit tickets. Forbes once said this, and it is stuck with me, but it can be likened to a student shooting free throws, but not being told if the ball is going to go into the basket until the next day. Think about that for a second. A student shooting free throws, but they don't know if it's going to go into the basket until the next day. No matter how good the comments are the next day, that student's not going to be able to make the changes needed to improve without being in that headspace that they were when they were doing the work. And that is what is so amazing about using a platform like Class Companion, because the student is in that mindset and they're receiving that quality feedback without focusing so much on that grade. So now students who don't know where to start, they can ask AI for help. They're not raising their hand. They're not getting all into you, right? For those students who are afraid of failing, that have really struggled with failing, they can use up to 8 attempts. The most important feedback comes more evident when we have this immediate feedback when considering a student who sits down to complete an assignment when they're fundamentally confused. Okay, this student's going to wind up either spinning their wheels, not knowing what to do, or they're going to do the wrong thing, iterating on their confusion, making it a lot harder to address in the future. So we're creating more disengaged, more unmotivated students. And so there's also that tension, right? We have those students who are afraid of failing. They got tension between seeing errors as opportunities for learning and improvement, or they see errors as reducing the grade. Raise your hand. How many of your students are solely focused on that number grade? Raise your hand. I want to see it. Yeah. Yeah. I can imagine, because that's what my students struggled with. They just wanted to know, how do they get the grade? And so it became less about what the actual process of the production was, and more about the product. I wanted to bring my students from a fixed mindset of I'm a failure, I give up, to how can I make this better? How can the AI help me when my teacher is up in front of the class or helping a small group for instruction, right? Yes. Absolutely. And so for those students who struggle even more, we can hide that score. They don't have to see it. We just want them to get that feedback. And so this is ultimately the value of using Class Companion. Yes, we can grade things quicker, we can grade things easier, we can reduce our workload, but our Sidekick here has the potential to spot errors as they occur and can respond to those errors in the exact right moment to ensure maximal learning. So really quickly, we talked about our favorite formative assessment type, okay? And so I'm going to change this up a little bit. I'm going to switch screens, and I'm going to hop on over onto my screen. Now, I shared this on Tuesday, but you do not have to do this in real time with me if you're unable to, or if you just prefer to watch, because you're going to get this replay and you can, rewind me and all that stuff later. Okay. But I want to be able to show you what this looks like on this side, and I want you to do it too. Okay. So if you have the option, I would love for you guys to share your screen, get on your teacher account, and I want you to just log in really quickly. Hopefully you guys are able to see my screen right now. Great, awesome. And this is an example of an exit ticket that I created. Okay, what's the first stage in the water cycle? I can see where my students are responding. Okay, they're asking for help. Remember, if you give multiple attempts, those multiple attempts do not count when they ask for help. And now what I would like for you guys to do is I want you guys to try out, I'm going to give you about 5 minutes to do so, but I want you to try out creating an assignment from your your favorite formative assessment strategy. Now, the sticky note might not work, but you can actually go in and generate with AI an assignment here. And so what I'd like for you guys to do, and this will be part of your homework, but I'm not going to give you the homework sheet yet. You can go in and you can remember, if you have AP US history or something like that, you may have a type that comes down from the drop-down menu. But I want you to give me as much detail as you can in here of what type of formative assessment you need. Okay? So I'm going to give you about 5 minutes. So maybe mine is something like this. I want my students to practice providing evidence to support claims, come up with 5 claims about the Lord of the Flies. So I might generate and review. I want you guys to create an assignment generated from AI on your favorite formative assessment. So for those of you who said, let's look, exit ticket, try, I want an exit ticket. Okay. If you want an I used to think, but now I think, try that prompt out. For those who have the retakes, we got you. Okay. So I'm going to set a timer really quick. We got about 4 more minutes left. About 4 more minutes left. But I want to give you guys an opportunity really quickly to create your assignment. And if you have questions, feel free to put them in the chat as well. Michael asked, for import, will there be an option to import from Google Drive? And that is something that we have talked about, but at this point in time, we don't have that option available. And Cooper may respond to you as well. It's on the roadmap. Yep. Cooper says it's on the roadmap right now. We only have file upload and pasted text. So you could definitely download the file and then upload it. That's a great workaround, Cooper. Thank you. Awesome. Got about 2 minutes left. In the submission settings, when you get to that, try hiding the scores. For those of you who have students who are, self-conscious, or maybe they're really focused on grades, hiding that score is going to be a game changer. So you can do that in the submission settings. And Cooper made another really great comment. So I'm going to put this in the up so you guys can see it. Please keep questions like that, like the one that Michael asked about Google Drive, and other suggestions coming. Like if we haven't thought of it, we'll make a ticket for it. We'll discuss it with the product team, and we're trying building anything that you guys are looking for, like timers and things like that. Those things are coming. So thank you, Cooper. Awesome. About 30 seconds left. And so hopefully you guys can see that within like 30 seconds, you've got a formative assessment created. And if it's not quite right, you can tweak it. You can tweak it. Mm-hmm. All right. So we're coming up on the last minute here. Whoop, sorry. All right. So we are done with that minute. Daisy said my audio keeps cutting off. We were doing that within our account. But again, this is going to be in your homework. It's just giving you time to kind of play around in it while we're talking about these things. Ken said he has a technical question. Will CC work with iPad? Submission requires control keys. Any other systems or devices not supported? Any workaround on the iPad? That is a really good question. So I'm going to put it up here. That way we have that question up, and then I'm going to let Cooper respond to that as we keep going. Okay, Ken, that's a really great question. But I'm gonna let Cooper respond there. All right. So hopefully you guys were able to see how easy it is to create a quick formative assessment. There's some other things that we're going to be doing as well today. But what I want to be able to show you guys now, let's see. Cooper also said that they should work on all mobile devices. The submission is just a keyboard shortcut. So I'll put that up. That way you guys can see the response to that. All right, so we talked a little bit about exit tickets, right? So let's look at this assignment here. All right, imagine this is an exit ticket. Often we end up reviewing those exit tickets after students have already left, right? Delays that feedback. But with Class Companion, your students can get that immediate feedback and leave the room with a better understanding right away. They don't have to wait for you to review their work and correct it the next day. It allows for more timely, more effective learning. Yes. So when we look at this assignment, we see that the student didn't quite understand the concept, wasn't sure, right? Typically, this might not be addressed until the next day, if ever, right? If the student even came out and said, I don't understand. But with Class Companion, the student receives that instant feedback, highlighting the misunderstanding. This enables them to correct their mistakes immediately and then solidify that learning on the spot. So you don't have to waste time revisiting those errors from the previous day. You can just move forward with new material or dive deeper into the concepts that need further exploration, right? It's going to help you to pinpoint those students who are struggling, allow you to address those needs immediately. So we also have detailed analytics, which I'm going to give you some time after I show you these next two things to play around in the demo account. So we have these detailed analytics that give you a comprehensive view of your class's overall performance. You can quickly identify those common misconceptions. You can adjust your lesson plans accordingly, really ensuring that all of your students are on that right track. The next thing that I want to show you guys, and I'm going to check this really quick. All right, so let's walk through how you could use this as a think, pair, share activity. So as part of your homework sheet, again, which I'm going to give you, you'll have a list of some really good formative assessment strategies that you probably haven't thought of to use with Class Companion. Think, pair, share is one of those. And we think, how do you think, pair, share as part of this experience? Well, okay, in a biology class, this teacher is going to present this thought-provoking question. How does photosynthesis contribute to the energy cycle in plants? Okay, the student, Alex, he logs into Class Companion. He's going to enter his initial thoughts into the response section. Almost immediately, he gets that feedback and it points out areas where he might need to elaborate. He might need to rethink his answer. So this helps him refine his thoughts before moving on to the pair phase. Then he pairs up with a classmate, Jamie. Jamie has done the same thing. So then they're able to discuss their responses. They share those refined answers. They get to listen to each other's ideas. They get to discuss maybe what Class Companion shared with them. And during that discussion, they can then document in Class Companion those key points, highlight any new insights or questions that arose. And then after the pair discussion, the pairs can share their findings. They can have a more comprehensive understanding of the topic, and they can submit that final response. So that response incorporates insights gained from both the initial thinking phase, right, and then the partner discussion. And so Class Companion analyzes the final submission and provides that feedback on the response. So this is a really just a quick, easy way to kind of get something that's already an iterative strategy and already an iterative process and add a layer of that in there as well. All right. So Cooper's man in the chat right now. The next thing I want to show you is there are other ways that you can do this, but essay drafting. Okay. I didn't want to show you guys essays because I was like, they probably already know that they can use this for essay grading. But the cool part is we have those students nowadays, right? That I know a lot of teachers right now are concerned about students using AI for their classwork. I think I just saw somebody in the chat who said something about using AI for their classwork. And while we have some really awesome academic integrity tools coming to the platform really, really soon, one method that you could use is peer editing. So you could have Class Companion help edit before the peer editing or after the peer editing, and then have students handwrite in class their essay draft. So I'm going to show you what this looks like. So let me switch my screen over really quickly. That way you guys can see what this would look like. Hopefully you guys can see. I have an assignment right here. Okay. I'm in my student account. So I wanted to show this from the student side of this. Okay. And it's about technology in the 19th century. It's a DBQ for a push class. And so we've got a lot of information here. But what I really want to show you guys is that I can upload my own handwritten assignment. And so let me really quickly, I want to show you this assignment. Hopefully you guys can see it. I'm not sure if you guys are going to be able to see it. Let me change over here really quickly. Present. So this is what I actually put into Class Companion. Okay, now you guys can see it. This is my student sample. Okay, and the student would have written this in class. This is their draft. They can get that initial feedback before their peer editing or after their peer editing. They can put it into Class Companion. And then once you import that document, it just transcribes it all for you right there. And then it scores the essay. You can also edit this essay here. But what's really important is you're kind of getting around that thought of, oh gosh, is this kid going to use AI? If the student is writing it in the classroom, they can then import that handwritten assignment. And we now have the option where you can do either handwritten or typed, depending on what the student would like to do. You can request only handwritten or request only typed. So I did want to make sure that I showed you guys that as an example for the essay. Let me check the comments really quick. All right, perfect. Okay, so that's another way that you can use formative assessment was essay drafting. But now what I want us to do is I want us to go inside of the demo class. So together, that's what we're going to do. We're in our we do phase right now. We're in our we do phase right now. I'm actually going to hide this. Perfect. Okay. So let me show you in our demo account really quickly. I want you to pull up your demo account too. So remember, your demo account is inside of your teacher account. Teacher account. And everybody give Cooper a shout out because he is manning that chat. He is manning the chat. Awesome. Okay, so this is where we were earlier. We're going to go to our demo account. So the demo account is in the classes section in your dashboard. You're just going to scroll on down. You probably don't have as many classes as I do. And it's the purple and blue one here. It's the demo class. Okay. And so remember that you can see this demo class. It has a variety of courses, a variety of assignments to choose from. It has some sample data. So if you have never had a class with data in here, you can use this to kind of play around. And now, honestly, I'm going to be quite frank, we don't have any really good examples here of any of the different formative assessment strategies that we're discussing here today, but we do have some short answer questions with student responses to look through. And so the most important part of this is to see that students during this phase of learning are getting just what they need instead of waiting till the next day. Okay. But I want to bring your attention to two major things. Okay. Number one is at the top right corner up here next to your initials. So you'll have your initials up here. In the top right corner, you'll see content library. Okay. So if you didn't know, you do have a content library. You have your content that you've created, and then we have libraries of resources as well. And so that means you can use the search feature to find assignments, to find rubrics created by our class companion team or other educators. And so you can also filter assignments by your grade level, your content area. And so what I'd like for you to do right now is while you are here, I want you to look through the assignment library. So with these filters on the right-hand side, you can filter by subject. Now, not every subject's going to have assignments in here just yet, but they're adding daily. You can also look for grades. So maybe I want to look for third grade. I can look for any third grade, second grade assignment. Second grade assignments are all right here. So you can see what other people have done, which is really awesome. You can also see, I think I see some Spanish in here for my Spanish teacher friend. And so you can look through there and just see for your grade level. It can be for a specific stimulus. Maybe it's an image, maybe it's an excerpt. What I really like to do is pretty much any book that I can think of, like The Hunger Games. I like to think of things like that. You might can find something in relation to that. I could do The Lord of the Flies. Oh, and I said that. And then I think I've got a grade chosen or something. Just a second to make sure. How did the filters work? Is there oversight by the CC team? Under third grade filter, an SAT practice came up. So, Jenny, I will share with you this. These are pretty much, if people want to share their assignment, you can choose to share your assignment or not share your assignment with the library. So if they correctly categorize their things, you might have some of that pop up where it's an SAT practice essay. But you can be able to find those things easily just by looking through and seeing what it is. But look, I looked up Lord of the Flies and it's got pretty much short answer for all of the grades, which is really cool. Once you find an assignment, this is our We Do section. Remember that. This is our We Do section. I'm going to put a banner up here. This is your homework, okay? Part of your homework is finding an assignment that you would use for your grade level or for your content area, okay? And sharing that in there. So I'm going to put the bit.ly here. So it's bit.ly/powerupsession2 HW. And so what you'll be able to see on there is it gives you a list of formative assessment strategies. So you can look at which ones work best with Class Companion and how that works best. So it's not a comprehensive strategy list or anything like that. But it does give you a lot of really good ideas that maybe you hadn't thought of before. Okay. And so we do want to just kind of give you some ideas. So those are here. So that is part of your checklist. So review some of those strategies. In your teacher account, we want you to also browse that demo class to observe student insights and assignment insights. And then look through the content library, filtering by your grade. That's what we're doing right now. And some other assignments as well. So hopefully you guys can get that. Grab that up. So once you find an assignment that you're like, I could totally use that in my class. So maybe I like the Lord of the Flies. I can preview that assignment. So say I'm like, oh, I like chapter 1. And I'm an eighth grade teacher. So I'll preview that. And then I can view it as a student. I can assign it to a class. So I'll just assign it to the class. Can choose that here. And I'm actually just going to choose one of my random classes that I have. And then check to see what you think. Any of the ones that are vetted by Class Companion are probably your best bet. But there are other educators who put their information here too. They share their documents, their files, things like that. So I'm going to make a timer for 5 minutes. And hopefully you guys will be able to ask your questions that you have in terms of the homework that you have. So the action step checklist. So hopefully you're able to do that. Remember, if you are using the assignment, you will have to have a rubric with it before you can do the submission. And then also try out hiding the scores from students, which is in the general section here. Okay, so I'm going to give about 5 minutes. Cooper and I are going to be manning the chat and give you some time to get that homework sheet open and ask any questions that you have thus far. I just feel like sharing this one. Cooper said maybe there's some precocious third graders out there taking the SAT. They're not. But good comedic relief. Cooper wants to suggest also that he recommends trying the rubrics that are published by Class Companion. So also inside of your content library, you can see those rubrics and you can like filter by Class Companion. But there's extra stuff happening under the hood with AI for rubrics published by us. So even if the description looks a little bare bones, it is the tip of the iceberg. So awesome. Vincent has a question. When it comes to sharing rubrics, are teachers able to collaborate at all? So if I share it with a colleague and they improve it, will those changes reflect on mine? Vincent, they do not reflect on yours. They can edit that rubric from the content library, but their edits are going to end up changing theirs, not yours. So they'd have to share that back. What I just saw Cooper responded to. And a quick sneak peek is that option in the works, thinking of like a live document. Cooper says we don't want the original rubric to change because, so this is what Jenny said, is that option in the works. Cooper said we don't want the original rubric to change because that would change how other teachers' assignments are scored if they're using the same rubric. So that does make sense. We would just need to share that back to the original poster if that's something that you wanted to collaborate on. Good point, Cooper. All right. So we got about 1 minute left. Real quick, just a teaser here. At your submission spot, look at this. We've got some accommodations that say disable narration, disable dictation, disable translation. And we're going to talk a little bit more about this on Tuesday's session where we're talking about meeting the needs of all the learners in our classroom, because accommodations are often the things that we need to do. So we'll show you where you can find those and what this actually means, because your students are not going to innately receive narration, dictation, or translation. Those are special accommodations, but you can disable them for specific assignments. So we'll talk more about that on Tuesday. Awesome. Okay. So hopefully you guys were able to get a little bit more under your belt. Remember that your checklist is here. So if you forget any of the things that we talked about, you want to watch the replay and you're like, let me just watch what Brittany said. That is perfectly fine. No stress. We're good. Real quickly though, let me show you inside of this formative assessment strategy section. These are just ideas. Again, this is not a comprehensive list, but it does have a really good ideas of things that can be used. Socratic seminars is one that I really like, and things like that. So you can definitely use those. And then, you know, the power of Class Companion is here as well. So you can check out those insights. All right. So hopefully you guys have access to that. At the end, it's going to ask you to share a link similar to how we did the last time. So the directions to share an assignment link is here. So you'll be able to see that. And then just some reflection questions as well. Multiplayer editing is difficult to engineer. Good. Okay. So some questions that are being asked about the rubrics here. It might, Cooper recommends just using a Google Doc if you have a collaborator in mind, and then using the import via text at this point in time. All right, so Q&A is open. We did finish a little bit early because we went over last time. So the Q&A is open right now. While today was all about formative assessments, we're going to cover meeting all of the needs of your learners in your classroom on Tuesday with accommodations, with personalized learning, individualized feedback. So if you've not already done so, head over to your Power Up dashboard, add session 3 to your calendar. And if you're unable to make it live to any session, I do want to remind you that while being here with us live is best, because hello, you can ask questions and get feedback in real time, which is what we're a proponent for. You do receive a replay as well, so you can always watch the replay. And then last but not least, once you've completed your action steps in the Google Doc, head over to the PD certificate form located in the Power Up dashboard, and then submit your action step there to receive your PD certificate. So I am going to leave us open for questions. If you have no questions and if you're just kind of playing around, that is perfectly fine. I'm going to leave us open for 4 more minutes and then I will close out this session. So I'm going to set a timer for 4 more minutes and make sure that I'm able to answer your questions. If you're still working, you can work here. This is a co-working space. If you feel good about it, that is good. Where do I look for teacher and student insights? Great question. All right, let me share that really quick. So we covered it a little bit here, but I'm going to share my screen. So inside of the demo class, I'm going to head back to my dashboard. And I'm going to scroll on down to the blue and purple section here, demo class. And what I can see from the dashboard is an overview of my students. So how my students are doing overview wise, what the median score is, try it again, ask for help. Obviously, we're having more asking for help from Ron, which is kind of what we want to see. But then we can also go to the submissions tab. And so up here at the top, we've got dashboard, assignment, student, submissions. I'm going to go to submissions. And what I like to look at when I'm looking at this is, number one, what time did they complete it? So typically in a normal classroom, we're going to have students who are completing the same assignment, one assignment, and each student is going to be, submitting it. So we'll have more of that. But here we have Ron did a whole bunch in one day. But what I like to be able to look at this is their complete and then what their score is. So overall, when I'm looking at this, I can see where my students might need support just off the get. And so this is a great way to kind of look at this formatively. Michael. Daisy's working quietly. Cooper said dashboard student name. Ken says, a question that fits more from session 1. What suggested method for sharing an assignment with a link or logging into class and selecting the assignment? That's a really good question. We don't have a suggested way of doing that. When you have students in your class, they're going to get, typically they will get an email that says that they have an assignment ready to go. So typically you're not having to share a link, because if you're telling the students to log into their class companion account, they will see that there. I hope that answers your question. But you can always, if you're putting it maybe on LMS or something like that to kind of share out, you could do it that way. You could just share the link. Ruby, you are so welcome. Eric said, I love to see how when students are copying and pasting information as a response. This was different for me because I had to add a Google extension to monitor for academic dishonesty. Okay, well, we have reached our time today. I mean, literally right on the time. So if you guys will join me next Tuesday for the 3rd session, then next Thursday for the 4th session, we will keep doing this. Also, while I've got you guys here, who can remember, also, this will be for one of the giveaways for the Amazon, clearing the Amazon wish list. In the chat, put what the name of our mascot is. Mascot, our person, our little green guy. You can remember. And if you haven't done so already, put your information in the Clear the List campaign for the Power Up PD because we are drawing names all the time and sending you guys stuff. The green guy. That was a good guess, Nancy. It's not. That's a good guess. It starts with a D. Starts with a D. I'll give you a hint. Sometimes when it means the same as same. So you might say same, but it starts with a D. Ditto. Yes, ditto. Brittany. Awesome, Brittany. Brittany got it. So, Brittany, I see your comment first. Good job. Yay. Okay, so if you haven't already put your wish list inside of the Power Up PD section, that is in your dashboard. It's right there, and you can just add your information in there. We're choosing wish lists all the time to add to. And just because this is fun and y'all are participating, we'll do one more question. If you have a student that is afraid of failing, what is the option that you can do on Class Companion? What can you offer them from Class Companion? Ah! Okay, so Dana says hide grade. I actually like that one too. That wasn't what I was thinking of in my head, but you can hide the grade. And Nancy says second try. That's what I was thinking. I was thinking up to 8 attempts. So Dana and Nancy, make sure that your wish list is on there as well. We've got Brittany, we've got Dana, we've got Nancy that we are going to send some goodies to from their wish list. So make sure that you get your wish list in there and be on the lookout for a package. Thanks again for hanging out with us today. Awesome. Come hang out with us on Tuesday. We are going to be doing more fun stuff just like this. Bye, guys.